Welcome to the 5-year anniversary special of One Take. Adam, it's been 5 years to the day since One Take posted its first video. I'm Gil, by the way, the face and the voice of One Take. And next to me is Adam. Say hello.
Greetings. Does that count?
I'm going to stream. Clearly, you can't follow directions. That's why he hasn't been on the channel in a while.
It's true.
For those of you who, back in the Saulcast days. Then after that, we started talking Targaryen to talk about Game of Thrones. I started giving Adam more of the reins on that show. And I remember this really weird, cryptic comment on that first episode of Talking Targaryen. Like, be careful about giving Adam too much control over the show.
Well, I think they were trying to get like into the spirit of the world of Westeros. It's like, and they were right. I was trying to cede control of your channel.
Yeah, to be honest, though, I think there was more context where they made it very clear this wasn't like a joke or some meta thing. They thought you were going to derail the show.
Derail it how?
Well, I think we attracted a weird crowd with that first episode of House of the Dragon because we started guns blazing. You were very negative about the Game of Thrones finale, which we thought everyone's negative about the Game of Thrones.
It was a really controversial opinion on my end.
But we attracted this crowd of people, I mentioned like, yeah, people didn't really like that finale. And the comments were like, what people? Whose people? I love the finale. What's wrong with the finale?
Anyone who, I'm sorry, if you loved the finale of Game of Thrones, you need to get your brain examined.
I wish I could remember the guy who commented that. You hear that? Yeah. Let's just pretend it was Sean McMichael. You hear that, Sean? Get your head checked.
Yeah. I don't mean it insultingly. I mean it out of concern.
Not really. Sean, I am quite confident that you have great taste in movies and TV shows alike.
Well, and most importantly, great taste in YouTube channels.
Yeah, that's right. He even referenced Gilville here. He said fireworks going off in Gilville.
Wow.
So shout out to Sean. Shout out to Rats Rocky. Love the video. Low-key falls. He watches my videos to fall asleep is basically what he's saying.
That's the best. I mean, the YouTube channels I love the most are the ones I turn on right before bed. I set my timer to like go to sleep after 20 minutes, and I just drift off to the nice, relaxing conversation.
To the netherworlds.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And then you wake up and you're like, damn it. Didn't work.
Oh, like, yeah, it didn't transport you.
The problem is that I used to listen to a lot of movie-related content to help me fall asleep, but now I can't. If I listened, I used to fall asleep to hack the movies, but now if I listen, I just start thinking, well, I should do a podcast where I talk about movies. But what would I have said in that situation? It makes me think of work.
Well, so like for me, one of the things the main thing I use YouTube for, in fact, the main form of content I consume is YouTube videos about video games. Mm-hmm. And I just find it nice and distracting and kind of mindless, but awakens the like child in me that just enjoys that stuff in a very simple way. You can't do that anymore because you constantly have this feeling of like, maybe I should be making videos about video games.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the other day, like in another life, I'm a video game YouTuber. Because I am so attracted to those videos. Like we just watched over the weekend, what was his name, Adam? Summoning Salt?
Yeah.
His documentary about the world records of Tetris. Like that is, I want to make that video.
Dude, I've been playing Tetris ever since then.
Yeah, at one point when we talked about this, I had the idea that I was going to become the world record Tetris holder for Game Boy Tetris. But back in high school, I wasn't good at much. I was bad at sports, I was bad at talking, but the one thing I was good at was Tetris on the TI-83 Plus calculator. I was so good at that. And you could actually connect two graphing calculators together and go head to head, where when you get a Tetris, it sends garbage lines to your opponent.
Yeah.
And people didn't want to play me because I was too good. There was another guy in the class.
That's why.
He witnessed this happening. It's because I'm better than you. My mom said so. This other guy, he catches wind of it. He's a jock, popular guy. The girls love him. The guys want to be him. He sniffs it out. He says, who's got that guy over there getting attention? And he's like, I'll play you in Tetris. And I was like, this is the chance I've been waiting for my entire life. I remember.
That's how you're going to get the ladies.
Let's do, now if this were a movie, pause, and then you'd flash back. If this were an anime, he'd be walking over in slow motion, and then it would flash back to some character development so you can really feel the emotions of the moment. I remember probably about 15 years earlier, I was in elementary school. Now, back in elementary school, I wasn't good at anything. Wasn't good at sports, wasn't good at talking, and this kid kept making fun of me. And for some reason, I thought that I could best him by proving that I know more than he does, just about anything. And so I was like, you don't even know what a router is. And he kept making fun of me. And I just kept cutting him off saying, what's a router? What's a router? And it just, other people started joining in, making fun of him. It didn't have quite the effect I wanted it to. Yeah. But now, fast forward, I'm going to play this guy in Tetris. I'm going to beat him. This is it. He kicked my ass. I didn't even come close. This guy had it all.
Nervous?
Looks,
was it the
charm.
Nerves?
No, he was just better than me. He was just better than me at everything.
Some people are just better at everything than others.
Yeah.
And I'm not including myself in that.
I wanted to end that story.
In case the tone made it sound like.
I wanted to end that story with, and he's even better than me at YouTube. And then think of who could I call out as like, and he grew up to become.
His name was Mr. Beast.
yeah, exactly. Let's do some more shout outs. Infamous. As a movie fan, the work that you do cannot be measured. The movie timeline videos are some of the best work.
There are ways to measure it, though. YouTube's doing it all the time.
Yeah, YouTube begs to differ. And then when it doesn't measure up, I need some videos to help me fall asleep.
Yeah,
Daniel,
real fixated.
Daniel Fa, shout out to you because I saw Tony was live streaming the other day. I dialed in for a second to listen in, and I happened to join at the moment where you told him, Gil got 100K subs. You should have said 200K, but that's okay. How does that make you feel? And Tony said...
One of the things you're losing sleep over.
Exactly. Tony said, I feel devastated. And then he moved on to the next topic. So...
I believe he was being honest in that moment.
I think so. He's the one who beat me in Tetris in high school, by the way. I wasn't going to out him, but I doxed him. You put my feet to the fire. I had no choice. Yeah, 5 years of One Take. Which, by the way, the Game of Thrones finale aired May 19th. That was the first video I did, was the review of the Game of Thrones finale. But I think it released after midnight. That's why May 20th ended up being the anniversary.
I remember exactly where I was when I watched it. I remember where in the room I was sitting. I remember who else was there. Mm-hmm. I remember how I felt. It was a bad night. And all around, it was a bad night.
Now, by the time you got to the finale, were you holding out hope still that they could pull something out of it?
No, I mean, I knew there was nothing they could do to turn the ship around.
Should we say, by the way, spoilers for Game of Thrones? I think it's likely at some point in this stream you're going to hear Game of Thrones spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, probably. It's not all going to be about Game of Thrones, but it's relevant.
Yeah. You know what? Guess what my second video was? So we started a brand new channel. We didn't know what we were doing. Game of Thrones series finale review. What do you think I followed that up with?
Oh,
you have no idea, right?
No, I don't remember. Something about Marvel?
No, Attack on Titan, Season 3, Episode 16, recap and review.
Ah.
But now this is what I love. My sixth video was Napoleon Dynamite sequel comic announced.
I do remember that one.
and the next one was a recap and review of the new Angel comic book, which was a spin. Angel was a spin-off of the TV show Buffy.
I'll say, as random and kind of uninteresting as these video subjects may sound, they're still worth watching your videos about them because you make them interesting.
Yeah, I find gold in that Napoleon Dynamite sequel comic. Not even the comic, the news that the comic has been announced.
Yeah. Probably more people saw the video you made about it than people actually read the Napoleon Dynamite sequel comic.
That might be true.
I mean, who's reading that?
I don't know. They even did a sequel show at one point on Fox, like a cartoon. Didn't get enough viewership to stay on the air. So I can't imagine how many people turned out for that comic.
How do we live in a world where Arrested Development got canceled like 3 times, and yet they're even attempting a pilot for a Napoleon Dynamite cartoon on Fox?
I have to say that is a feeling I haven't had in a long time. But I remember years ago as a kid, that was devastating. Watching a show, getting into it.
You and I talked about how we should hold like a mock funeral for Arrested Development the first time it got canceled.
Yeah.
And we were ahead of our time because no one, like, people didn't care about the show back then. And you and I were too young to get it, is what most people would have thought. But we understood the humor and we found it funny, and that's because we're smart.
Yeah. People are like, why didn't they have any friends in high school?
Yeah.
I'm smart. I like Arrested Development. You don't even know what a router is. But I remember when Arrested Development started up, I hated the show, to be honest. I didn't find it funny at all. I remember sitting in the kitchen.
You convinced me to give it another shot because we both didn't like it at first.
And I remember, this is like you watching the Game of Thrones finale. I vividly remember sitting in the kitchen watching an episode of Arrested Development on a little TV. It might have been on Sunday nights at one point, but we were waiting for it to end so our show would start, whatever we actually cared about. And I remember reassuring everybody in the room, don't worry, this show is going to get canceled before you know it. Arrested Development.
So it's
but
your fault.
There was a moment where there's news cameras just on some random news story, but in the background you see Tobias.
Oh yeah,
just like
just like as an onlooker, just kind of like smiling like an idiot.
Yeah, just staring at the camera. He's so excited to be on camera. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, okay, I was completely missing something. And then you go back and rewatch the episodes and you start to see all the callbacks and all the clever stuff.
The blue handprints all over the walls.
Yeah. And then I rewatched the first 3 seasons of that show so many times. Yeah. And then Sean McMichael, too bad the Netflix revival was so disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, they're like almost unwatchably bad.
The fact that there's an entire season of Arrested Development that I have not watched 1 second of is insane.
Yeah, I've literally watched none of it.
That was a lesson I learned. I'll tell you the movie that taught me an important lesson. In my mind, if you make a good movie, a sequel, of course it'll be good. This is a long time ago. I must have been probably...
Yeah, I mean, no one thinks that anymore.
No, I was probably... Let me see how old I was. Okay, I was less than 14, but it was at age 14 when the realization happened that just because it's a sequel to a good movie doesn't mean it's going to be good. Can you guess the movie that taught me that lesson?
You were 14?
I was 14. This would have been 2003.
Oh, give me a hint.
Let me think. What's a hint I can give that won't be insanely obvious?
Too hinty.
It was the third. Yeah, a hint that's not too hinty.
Spider-Man 3. That was too early, right?
No, Spider-Man 3. No, that was too late. That came out, I think, 2007. I was a senior in high school.
Sorry, that's what I mean. 2003 would have been too early. Or 2008 or whatever number you said.
But it was the third movie in a franchise. And
Return of the King, right? That was awful.
It was the opposite of Arrested Development. I went back and rewatched Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and I was like, this is garbage. It's just walking.
He's being
sarcastic. They walk to the tower, then they walk all the way. That was from Clerks 2. I think Kevin Smith was not a fan of those movies, or at least his characters weren't. And they kept saying, the movie's just walking. You walk to the mountain, drop the ring, turn around, and walk back. And they got a guy so pissed off, he threw up.
Wait, okay, so what movie was it?
Terminator 3.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I remember walking out of the theater and I was saying to my dad, like, I just didn't get it. I was like, it wasn't horrible.
Was that the Christian Bale one?
No, that was Terminator Salvation. Yeah. I was already jaded by the time that one came out. But I still held out hope because there was another lesson I had to learn. Just because an actor was in a good movie doesn't mean the next movie they're in will be good. So that was the next lesson I had to learn. But I remember after Terminator 3 saying to my dad, I was like, it wasn't like Terminator 2. Like, it just didn't feel the same. And I couldn't articulate what was wrong with it. And he just said, like, it's been 20 years. Like, it's not going to be the same. And it sent me into a spiral. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And then Terminator 4 came out. And then Terminator 5 came out. And then Terminator 6 came out. And now Terminator Anime is coming out August 29th. And stupid me, I'm like, that could be good.
That's the only one that has a chance.
Yeah, this is the final lesson I need to learn. Just because it's anime doesn't mean it's good. That's the last lesson to be learned for me.
Yeah, but it does mean it might be good.
Yeah, that's true. It's not anime. It's produced in America. There is a Japanese company involved. So
there you go.
Shut up, that random guy who left a comment on my Castlevania review. Even though I never said Castlevania is an anime, I said that the show was my gateway into anime.
I think that's perfectly valid.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just like Hey Arnold was mine.
Daniel Foss says, Scary Movie 3.
I don't think you were never attached enough to those movies to find the third one very disappointing.
No. Though actually, I do think Scary Movie 3 is the only one I've seen. If I remember correctly, that one was PG-13, so I could actually go with my friends. But it does remind me of a funny story where the first Scary Movie came out. I don't know why. I wanted to see it so badly. I think it felt like forbidden fruit. Similar category as South Park. That show, I remember, was so special because you weren't really allowed to watch it, but occasionally...
Or, like Eminem's music. These are all like the forbidden fruit of a 90s kid.
Yes. And I remember making a pact with myself. Like, it's another vivid memory. We used to have, on the school playground in elementary school, we had like a wooden truck you could sit in, and you pretend you're driving a truck.
I remember that. And I remember when it burned down.
Yes. Now, was that ever found to be malicious? Like someone purposely burned down our playground?
I just don't know how it could have been accidental. Like when we were kids, I remember we showed up to school and there were firefighters putting out a fire at the playground. In retrospect,
and then they built...
It was all metal afterward.
Yeah, they built a new metal playground.
Yeah.
And then they put these like anti-flammable, like special wood chips.
That I don't remember, but...
Yeah. No matter how many matches I dropped in those things, I couldn't. That was my next disappointment. Like yeah. You only get one good fire. You don't get you can never go back. Yeah. Wait, as so they say. Oh yeah, well, yes, I was sitting in that wooden truck before Adam burned it down. And I was like looking into the distance and I was like, I need to make a deal with myself. When I'm old enough to go to Blockbuster and rent my own movies, I have to see Scary Movie. And I never did. No. I broke that promise.
And now you have to
go
to Alaska. You have to go to Alaska if you want that done.
That was a dream of mine growing up. I so badly wanted to work in a Blockbuster and be the guy that would give people movie recommendations. That was like my dream.
Oh, you're going to rent that movie?
Yeah.
I'd really recommend a different one.
Have you seen any Jim Jarmusch movies?
Are you into Lars von Trier?
I remember seeing, I think it was called Dogville? What was that Lars von Trier movie? Yeah, and I was blown away by that movie. But I realized that at that age, if you showed me a sad movie, I was like, this movie's amazing.
I was going to say, I think you had that influence on me too. It was like the more depressing a movie was, the more profound I found it.
And then
like Requiem for a Dream was like the best movie I ever saw at the time. In retrospect, it was just the most depressing.
And then if I was watching a movie and there's like a depressed character, as soon as he starts to make a turn, I shut the movie off. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah. Little did you know it was realistic.
Yeah, it's true. Now, anytime I'm watching a movie and there's like a depressed character, like why doesn't he just start a YouTube channel? What says congratulations on 5 years and cheers to the next 5 years and beyond. Cheers, Adam. I know we can't see you, but just cheers to the screen.
Cheers.
You spill whatever you're drinking all over your laptop.
Well, yeah, I forgot. I put my cup on the floor. I almost knocked it over.
Guy Incognito says, if Furiosa isn't a 10 out of 10, I'll hit rock bottom. IGN says it's a 10 out of 10. And if there's one source that can be trusted, it's IGN. I have no idea. I don't know. Are they reputable?
I don't know. It's hard to imagine that they are. I imagine any like media outlet that reviews movies and stuff that's probably like directly in touch with the production companies like Disney and whatnot, like they have to be compromised.
Yeah, well, it's just like you imagine the system, why wouldn't it be? And I also find it weird with IGN and media outlets like that, where they're giving a score to a movie. There are different writers writing each review. So IGN gives it a 10, but what if like 3 other people working on the staff think it's a 9?
Well, that's why I think the best way to decide what movies to watch, like if you're going to go by recommendations, is to find the people who like have similar leanings as you, or who like tend to like the same stuff as you. So like a recommendation from you is worth infinitely more than a recommendation from IGN. Like if you say, Adam, I just saw this movie, you're going to love it. I know I will.
When's the last time I said that to you? I can't even remember.
I don't know, but you've recommended movies to me before, and you've never been wrong.
Well, I'm remembering.
Who don't know me as well.
I'm just remembering so many conversations over the last couple of years where I watch a movie and I say, it was good. It was good. And you're like, should I see it? And I'm like, no, you really don't have to. Yeah. I can't think of the last time I saw a movie. Yeah, but you recommended that to me.
I saw it before you. Yeah. Right, but it works both ways. Like when I said you have to watch RRR, you knew I wasn't overselling it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Do burgers count? Because there was a burger. Remember I told you you gotta try this place.
You were right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you couldn't undersell it. I was like, as good as you think it is, and you think I'm exaggerating, multiply it by 2.
Yeah. You were right, and then that's why God took it away from us.
That's right. Yeah, it was a restaurant.
It shut down during COVID.
Yeah, and then they didn't bring it back.
Yeah.
COVID giveth. This is the YouTube channel, but COVID also taketh away. It also takes away.
It was worth it overall.
Yeah, would I trade a burger that I was honestly getting kind of sick of because I ate it too many times?
Yeah. Well, you also made the mistake of like bringing dates there, which I always thought was a bad idea.
Yeah, and also I went there at one of the lowest points of my life. Like I had never been, like I was grinding on some
pre-YouTube
spreadsheets pre-YouTube, and it was one of those nights where I was like, I already know I'm not sleeping tonight, and I had a habit of I would work at the office as long as I could, and then I would come home, sit on the couch, and put a blanket over my head and use my laptop under the blanket, like
I've
just
done
a
that
little
so many times,
like a dark blanket for it,
and the whole thing turns into like. It gets so hot underneath.
Yeah. But in between, yeah, especially all the heat being produced from the laptop.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
yeah. But in between, when I left the office and when I came home, I stopped at that restaurant with Lon, our older brother, and I had the burger, but I was just staring at the ground the entire dinner. I wasn't even talking to Lon at all. It was so depressing for me and for him, and I just couldn't go back there after that. It was so tarnished. I had to give it like 6 to 8 months, and then I came back and I sort of revived it.
Yeah.
And then COVID taketh away.
Yeah.
By the way, so talking about disappointing sequels and all that, it did remind me of my origin story, how I got into movies to begin with, where the obsession began. I can actually pinpoint the exact moment when it happened. So I always liked movies. I was into them as a kid. I liked all stories, books, spoken word. But I was at summer camp.
Where people like snap like after you say a good line.
I was walking downtown. Ooh. And I was at summer camp. You know when they rolled in the TV on that cart, put a tape in?
Yeah, with the VHS player. And it has the strap. It has the strap on. No, but it has that like black like It has that strap holding the big CRTV down onto the metal frame.
Yeah, it was the best. So we were watching one of the Indiana Jones movies. And while we were watching, one of the camp counselors was standing next to me. I was sitting down. I was kind of large as a child. So if people were standing, I was sitting.
As you've alluded to already.
So the camp counselor standing next to me, he looks at me and he goes, they're making another one of these, like a fourth Indiana Jones movie. And that blew my mind.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I walked out of the school. I was like, what's his inside line? Like, how does he know that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. The only news I got about movies was, when they aired commercials on TV, the trailers before a movie, or another super nostalgic thing for me was at the movie theater. They used to hand out these little pamphlets that would list all the upcoming movies and the synopsis for each one. And I loved that. It was that was my only little pipeline into what are the upcoming movies that maybe you haven't even seen a trailer for yet, but you get that little paragraph synopsis. I would always read all of them on the way home after the movie. But when I heard him say they're making an Indiana Jones 4, I went home and I think I Yahoo'd Indiana Jones 4. And that's when I found all these websites. Ain'titcool.com. There was a comingsoon.com. There were all these websites that would just have movie news. And that was the first time I kind of put a dent in the idea that movies aren't this magical thing handed down from heaven. But there are people who work on them. There's a whole production behind them. And it started the obsession. And then I remember a family friend mentioned IMDb. And he's like, it's a website that lists every movie ever made. And from that point on, for the next few weeks, I would get home from school, open up IMDb, and just look up a movie I liked. And then just follow the rabbit hole. Click on the writer's name. What other movies did they write?
On the forums.
I wish I did that at the time when I had the energy for it, but I never did. I read a lot of the arguments, and those were fun. I miss IMDb used to have a message board for every movie. So even a super obscure movie, if you want to see discussions about it, you just look it up on IMDb, you scroll down, and there's a message board. And I got rid of all of it.
I used to write stuff in there.
Really?
Yeah, I wish I remember what my username was. Like,
damn.
See what kind of idiotic stuff
if you even vaguely remember any of the stuff you said, somebody I think archived all of the old IMDb boards. So we should find your old posts. We're gonna find them and we're gonna be like, we can't release these to the public.
No, these can never see the light of day.
We're gonna send a cease and desist.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But I would just spend hours and hours just following that rabbit hole. Click on the director. What other movies did they make? And it just blew my mind. I had no idea all this information was out there. And then from that day forward, I would just spend hours looking at every movie news site, looking up. And I remember all the sequels I used to know were coming. I was like, I swear to God, they're making an Indiana Jones 4. They're making a Rocky 6. They're making, you name it, there's a sequel in production. And I remember our older brother telling me, they're not going to make a Rocky 6. They're not making a Terminator 3. They're not making
to this day, he's
Jurassic Park 4.
He still has that kind of basic disposition.
That attitude, that bizarre skepticism, but angry skepticism. But he was wrong about all of them. Every one of those movies got made.
You're not going to succeed on YouTube.
The only one that wasn't disappointing of all of those was probably Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa. I liked that movie.
Yeah.
It was okay.
To see it again. Yeah. I remember thinking it was significantly better than Rocky 5.
That's true, but that's also an extremely low bar.
Yeah, that's my point, is that's what I remember thinking, so it's hard to look back and actually say it was good without watching it again. But I also believe you.
Yeah. Yeah, if it came out today and you were like, how was it? I would say it was pretty good. Should I see it? And I would say, you don't have to see it.
Yeah, it's the hesitation. Whenever you hesitate, you've done the same thing with a lot of shows that people consider really good and that you liked. Even I don't know if you'll.
Wait, are you going to out me right now?
Damage your cred, but even with Succession, everyone talks about how good it is. It was a phenomenon for a while, and I'm on the cusp of it's deep into the series, and I'm maybe I should give it a shot. And I'm Gil, should I watch it? And you're like, yeah, you should. And I'm like,
To
no,
be-
you hesitated. I what's the point?
But to
If
be
I'm
fair,
if I'm gonna end up slightly disappointed, why even start?
so to be fair on that one though, that is not a measure of quality in this case. That's just me knowing you. I just know it's just not the kind of show I think you'd be that interested in.
Okay.
No zombies, no sci-fi, no
Nudity.
You know what? There wasn't really any Guy Incognito. Was there nudity in that show? I know you keep track of these things. Let me consult my notebook.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I specifically wrote Adam will like this scene.
Yeah, underlined it 6 times.
Yeah.
Drew my own sketch of it. Little diagram.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I got to second base with this show.
It doesn't even make sense.
I know. You know, I once accidentally electrocuted myself on a George Foreman grill.
No, I didn't know that.
Because this was a few years ago, and the reason I thought of that
was this like your emergency content in case we didn't have anything to talk about?
I was picturing Guy Incognito trying to get to second base with his TV, and he's like pulling out wires and just. And
he's trying to unhook something in the back.
But I touched the metal prong, like with a plug. It's got 2 little prongs.
I can picture the way that the.
Yeah, I couldn't get a good hold on the plug as I was unplugging it, and then I just put my thumb over the. I touched the metal part basically.
Yeah.
And
actually,
it, like,
you did tell me this.
down.
You did tell me this before, and now every time I unplug something, I worry about it.
Because of my story?
Yeah. I'm like extra conscious because like. I don't know. It happens all the time that you're trying to plug in or unplug something where it's like a weird angle and you can't see exactly what you're doing. And it's tempting. It's tempting to slip your finger.
You get great leverage if you go over the part.
Yeah. But you slip your finger into the wrong part, you're going to suffer the consequences.
Yeah. You're going to join Guy Incognito over there.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite one take memories?
Oh, I probably the pre Better Call Saul finale watch party.
Oh, that was a good time.
We were in our costumes, our jean costumes.
What did we do? I'm trying to remember what happened during that watch party. Oh, we premiered our Lyle Fryer for Hire.
Yeah. We got
Peter Dyseth.
Yeah.
I was going to start this stream by announcing we have a special guest. Because it's always the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence. I just said we have a special guest. And then this guy showed up.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Hello, Tony from Hack the Movies.
Hi, Gil.
And The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Now I regret not having my camera on.
Oh, wow.
That's just what he looks like.
You look like Arnold?
It's purely coincidental.
Hey, Gil, my internet might not be the best. I'm currently uploading my entire Casilla video archive to Rumble because it got kicked off YouTube coincidentally after you promoted it. How you doing, Gil?
I was gonna say you have some balls coming onto the stream tonight. Like you still have another channel left I could take down.
I know. I gotta be real careful about having you promote me in the future. It's actually funny. I actually just shot with Johanna the first in-studio episode she did all year, actually. And I was like, last time we were in studio, we did a video for Gil. And then a week later, our podcast was gone.
I'll pull some strings, Tony. I'll see what I can do. I got contacts over there.
Thank you. So what's going on? Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Adam, say you're welcome. Or say thank you.
Thank you.
We got to treat our guest right.
It's who am I to be thanking? You did all the work.
Yeah, that's true.
it's your channel. As much as I tell people I have a YouTube channel with my brother, I know it's your channel.
It is funny. The main way you used to contribute was you would make thumbnails for the channel, but you get really obsessive over your work. and just put way too much. Like the amount of effort I put into a video, like scripting it, recording it, you put into a thumbnail.
Hey, it paid off. That Spider-Man video got like 30 million views.
Well, okay, that's true. That's true. But you would put equal effort into the video no matter what it is.
Into the video that was like, they're making a Napoleon Dynamite sequel comic.
Well, the one I specifically remember, like this drove you. I always think, I saw an interview with Elon Musk where he talked about building Tesla. He didn't actually build Tesla.
Now we're all banned.
Yeah, we should start streaming on Rumble. Hold on. Yeah. But he was saying he was barely
I'm excited for my Rumble journey.
Yes, a new frontier you're opening up. You have a lot more freedom over there. You can finally speak your mind.
Well, it's not me. It's my problematic co-host like Johanna and her politics. I can't stop her. I can't stop her, Gil.
The amount of stuff I had to cut out for your guys' segments in the Godzilla review.
So what you're saying, Elon Musk, you agree?
He pushed himself. He says that he pushed himself to the brink of insanity to get that company going, and that's what Adam would do on every thumbnail. And I remember
Elon Musk is also like a fucking liar.
Hold on.
Well, yeah. I mean, he over.
Finally,
I get to do it. It's so nice to have power here.
Being on the other end of that. I didn't like that. What did he say?
If he's a liar, that's another thing we have in common.
Yeah, I'm not against liars, but what did he say? Didn't he say like he was afraid of the dark and he had to remind himself that it was just a lack of photons or something? Like that didn't happen. You're lying. You're a liar. Also, he cost me a lot of money when he said Bitcoin was bad for the environment. But anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
I did have a very bad experience with a Tesla recently. Might talk about that later. It was flat tire, and because the cars are heavier, so they're more prone to flat tires.
Oh,
and then they don't come with a spare. And if you call Tesla roadside, they'll offer to tow you to the nearest Tesla service center. And then you'll say, but it's Sunday night. Are they even open? And they go, well, it's Sunday. Nothing's open. And then you say, so what do I do? And they say, I don't know.
Real crack team they got over there. Clearly the future. The future.
Yes. But Adam, the thumbnail in particular, I remember you. You drove yourself to the brink of insanity.
Was it the Labyrinth 2 rumors? Is that it?
It is. Is that early on?
I came up with a logo for the new movie that doesn't even exist.
No, that movie's happening. They're working on that movie, and I bet they're going to use your logo because it looks so professional. You got the 2 was connected to the labyrinth, and like it looked like somebody was like magic wanding the 2 into place. It was like at the time I was experimenting with One Take Daily, where I wanted to stream every day. I think I saw like John, what's his name? The guy who streams every day movie news. John Campia.
Oh, John Campia, yeah.
Yeah, I saw one of his videos and I was like, I can do that. He's just saying the news. And so
spoiling movies. He loves doing that.
Does he do that?
Oh, what's his? Yeah, dude, he shared like a bunch of leaks from Spider-Man No Way Home like months before it came out.
I do remember that.
And
actually,
everyone's like,
yeah, that
why
annoyed
did you
me.
do that?
But so I was trying to mimic his style, and so I just talked about a bunch of news stories. Talked about Labyrinth 2. That got clipped out, and then Adam spent like 7 hours in that thumbnail. To be fair, like if you go back to the wasteland of all the content that was produced out of One Take Daily, that's the one video that to this day still gets views. Like, not many.
It's that click-through rate.
It is, yeah. Every few weeks I see a comment pop up.
It's not about the number of views.
No.
Just the percent of the 10 people that saw it, 8 people clicked it.
That's right. I remember saying, I was like, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers, they have this like Labyrinth get together every year where everyone dresses up and cosplays and gets together, like Labyrinth-a-thon. I was like, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to dress up and I'm going to that event next year. And so every few weeks I get a reminder on that video where someone comments.
Oh man, I hope you get to that 1,000 subscriber one day.
One day.
Well, Gil, what if you woke up tomorrow and saw you had 1,000 subscribers? How would you feel?
Oh man, I would probably feel as good as the time that kid beat me in Tetris in high school. You missed a whole story earlier, Tony. Went through my whole origin story.
got beaten Tetris?
That was like the equivalent of his parents getting killed in a back alley.
That was my Bruce Wayne origin story. It was so Tetris was the one thing I was good at in high school. I was bad at sports, bad at having friends, and the like jock popular guy challenged me to a game of TI-83 plus Tetris where you connect the graphing calculators.
Ooh.
And I was like, this is my moment. Like, I was so good at that game. I never lost a game against anyone, and he kicked my ass. Like, he beat me brutally, like 3 times in a row.
Well, I can't relate. I was always bad at video games, so I always got my ass kicked. So that would have just been a Tuesday for me, to be honest.
Do you have any stories that you can counter? Like, bring the vibes back up. Do you have any good, like, revenge stories from real life? This guy took my YouTube channel down, and
not that I can share on YouTube. Actually, something similar. Speaking about jocks and whatnot. So yeah, in gym class, I
kicked this kid's ass in Tetris once.
Yeah, in gym class, I did Tetris. No, in gym class, we did flag football one day, and I didn't give a shit. I like never, even when I was in like on the field and whatnot, I just stood there because I didn't care. Or no, it wasn't flag. It was like touch football instead of tackling.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this guy, this like big jock dude, thought like the play was done, but apparently it was still on. So I was just like, oh. So then I just tagged him and I like got him out because he was just happened to be standing next to me. I literally didn't move. That dude, keep in mind, this wasn't an important game. This was gym class. Nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. This guy freaked out about it the entire day. He like screamed at me on the field. He was giving me dirty looks in the hallway. He like wanted to fight me. I'm like, I didn't do it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what the rules are. I wasn't paying attention.
I just wanted to touch you.
Someone said the game, it was still on. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to touch the other team who has the ball.
I don't know if like maybe we all have like low testosterone or something, but like the idea of getting that worked up over a game, over gym,
yeah, that's the weird part.
like Gil, you still do like intramural like leagues every once in a while.
Oh yeah,
and there's some hotheads.
Oh yeah, there's like, I mean I have like a permanent scar on my, what do you call, your shin, because we don't wear shin guards at soccer. This kid kicked my shin so hard. I'm like, this is indoor soccer. We're playing on a high school gym. I'm like, the ball, there's like a limited, like you can kick it half as hard and you would have got it all the way to the goal. Like, what are you trying to do?
I'm on that kid's side.
I was in 9th grade and I was coaching, or I was a referee. I was making $20 a game for like elementary school soccer. And I had to kick a parent off the field once because he wouldn't stop screaming at his like 6-year-old.
Oh, that's like my parents. My parents used to scream at my sister, and then they became her coach, so they couldn't get kicked off the field.
No.
They got immunity.
And they're like, Tony, why don't you want to do any sports? I'm like, well, I'm watching you psychopaths scream at a little girl for like a soccer game. She's in 3rd grade. I don't really feel like doing any of that.
I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you.
You're giving me all these flashbacks to like high school bullying stories, and I remember what was
there's
really
no shortage.
Happy anniversary, Gil.
Yes.
Now tell another traumatic story.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are learning why I never leave my apartment and why I spend all my times alone just writing about movies.
Well, you know, that one time you did leave your apartment to go to the gym and then someone ran you over.
So
I don't blame you.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't think I'm going to make a joke about that on Thursday for the episode you backed out, you got another thing coming, Gil.
He got hit by another motorcycle or a bicycle if you ask the hospital. That's the story going around.
Scooter.
Yeah, everyone has to like downgrade your injury.
Yeah. It literally happened right before my eyes. I walk in, I'm being wheeled in on a wheelchair, and I say, well, first off, as I'm lowering myself very slowly into the wheelchair, this guy goes, whoa, there's blood. And like I stop, and he was just messing with me. He's like, no, it's okay. But like, at the time, like slowly bending my knees and then stopping suddenly was the most painful thing I could have done. And I tell them I got hit by a motorcycle. And then they go, yeah, this guy got hit by a scooter. They put me on the bed, and then the doctor comes over and she's like, so yeah, someone was like delivering food and like hit you with a bicycle or something. And like, can't I get a little like anything here?
I wish I was there. I would have been like, no, a kid on a tricycle beeped their horn across the street and it startled him.
He was wearing one of those propeller hats and like the propeller brushed up against him.
Anyway, sorry for derailing that. You
high
talking
school
about
bullying.
getting bullied?
Yes. Yeah. The big fad back then was pantsing, you know, where people would just yank your pants down. I was so terrified of it. I wore 2 pairs of underpants and I wore the tightest belt possible. And there were...
You're like Quail Man.
People, like it happened multiple times where people tried to rip my pants down. I was just like, ha, 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 ha. I just couldn't get it down. I remember one guy commented on it. He's like, with Gil, you never see his boxers. You're lucky if you see a sock. He's so buttoned up.
Pantsing would have been preferable to what I had to deal with my first high school, which was an all boys Catholic school. You know the lanyards, the ID cards with lanyards on them. Did you guys have those?
Not at school, no.
Oh yeah, we had them at school, and they used to like to take the card off and the little metal clip. And ball tapping was the thing in that school.
Oh,
so that
I
little
wore a
metal
cup too at all times.
Yeah, I should have worn a cup. That little son of a bitch hitting your sack. That was the big thing. I'm like, you're talking about being pants. I'm like, that would have been so. There were no girls in the school. I wouldn't have been embarrassed. Like, it was better than like falling on the floor because I can't feel anything.
The worst part too is like that makes you nauseous. So I'm just picturing you like regularly vomiting in the hallway. Why can't you just take my pants off?
Just take my pants off. I don't care.
Oh man. So Tony, I got my start 5 years ago by talking about the Game of Thrones finale. And a lot of shows, a lot of YouTube channels, I think, got their start during that time period talking about Game of Thrones. I missed it entirely, like literally came in right at the end of it. Yeah. Did you ever watch that show? I feel like that's one I've never heard you talk about.
Johanna used to be obsessed with it. She made me watch like the first few episodes and I went, this is boring. So I never watched it again. I caught episodes.
Sorry, it's just too. Sorry. I see now. I get it now. Why you do it all the time?
Fun, isn't it? My family was really into it, so I caught episodes here and there. Maybe if I actually gave it a chance, I would have gotten into it. But from what I hear, apparently it ended like dog shit, and I dodged a bullet.
Not only,
it's not just that.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Well, you're gonna say something different, so hold that thought. But you can tell someone is like they're of mid intellect if they say, "Oh yeah, it was good, but the finale sucked." No, the last 4 seasons were trash. Okay, if you didn't detect the downward trajectory in season 5, you're not on our level, and by our I mean mine.
Yeah, but people are invested. They want to. If it had a decent ending, they would have forgiven it. But apparently, it didn't.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to picture an hour of television that could have turned that entire ship around.
But I will say, like I had to watch the first episode of that show like 4 times with different groups of people, and I was like so bored. And I don't remember who, but someone I really trusted was like, no, like I promise. Like get through those first couple episodes and you'll be hooked. And they were right. And like those first 4 seasons are some of the best TV that was ever made. But I just don't even watch after that.
Okay.
Yeah, but Tony's just doing the math right now. He's like, I can't do a video about Game of Thrones. It's like way too late.
No, like
it's way too rewatch late. So what's the point now to watching it?
That's fair. That's like the YouTube mindset.
You're talking to the guy who's been sitting here going like, how do I do a video about the show Millennium, the X-Files spinoff that no one remembers? I really want to do an episode of. I want to do a.
Wait, I actually don't remember that, and we were into X-Files.
Yeah, do you remember one episode with Lance Henriksen called Millennium? It was about like the year 2000. There was like zombies and stuff in it.
I don't think Adam knows half the words you just said.
Okay,
his head is spinning.
That's
right now.
an X-Files episode.
You just verbally pantsed him.
Yeah.
I just remember the whole thing went downhill with Agent Doggett and when
well, this is
David
before that.
Duchovny left to go do Evolution.
This is before that. This is before
Okay.
that.
All right.
Yeah, I think this probably season 6 or 7. I think maybe 7. The episode is called Millennium. There's like zombies coming back to life, and there's like a cult that's involved with it. And they're like, Lance Henriksen, you worked with this cult. Help us. That is the secret series finale to Millennium that ran for 3 seasons. It got canceled, and they're like, let's finish it in this X-Files episode. And it's a terrible X-Files episode. The only thing people remember is that it was the first time Mulder kissed Scully when the ball dropped. Meanwhile, people like me are like, this is technically the ending of a completely different show.
It holds so much more significance.
It holds, yeah. And I've heard people be like, yeah, what's up with that episode? I'm like, it's because it's an unofficial series finale.
There's like a single tear rolling down your cheek.
Yeah. Millennium's great.
It was a bad X-Files episode, but was it a good Millennium episode?
No, it was not a good Millennium episode. It was actually a worse Millennium episode than it was X-Files episode.
Oh, geez.
You have a shot because they've announced a X-Files reboot they're doing, and they're doing an animated X-Files Albuquerque, like a comedic cartoon spin on the show. So it'll be back in the news, and then you can do that video.
I'm done with X-Files. I can't do it. Chris Carter, why didn't he just finish the story? Why didn't he finish it? He had so many opportunities. He could have done the 2012 invasion. Instead, he was like, let me make a movie about people switching heads. And I'm like, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Do the invasion. Then he screwed up. And then the new series was like, the invasion happened secretly. And then the season afterwards, they're like, actually, the aliens, spoiler, the aliens aren't coming anymore because we polluted the earth too much. That was the big twist in the last season. I'm not lying. The aliens are no longer coming.
I didn't even watch it, and I'm disappointed.
Nope. Didn't they end on a cliffhanger?
Yes.
And like Gillian Anderson, she was like, I told him I'm not coming back. Like, I told him I'm done. I don't know why he did that.
Yeah.
So now it's just that's it. Now he ruined it.
Yep, he ruined it. He could have just ended it, and he dropped the ball, and now X-Files will never be resolved. Unless he just stopped watching at season 7 when Mulder gets abducted. That's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
But it was getting bad before that, because season 5 had the alien rebels, and it was going to be like this war, and then they did the movie, and then Chris Carter was like, what if I make the show about Scully being Christian more? And aliens made the Bible, and then you're watching it, you're like, where did the faceless alien rebels go? Can those guys come back? What the fuck is this shit?
As someone who barely remembers watching X-Files, I'm like, that sounds pretty cool, actually. The aliens made the Bible. I'm like, I'd watch that show.
Yeah, it sounds cool. It's not cool. It sounds cool.
I remember trying to see the X-Files movie in theaters.
Yeah.
Keyword being trying.
What happened?
I fell asleep in like 20 minutes.
Wait, but that wasn't the original X-Files movie. I think you're talking about the one, Fight the Future or whatever.
I Want to Believe.
Fight the Future was the first. I Want to Believe is that weird one. We're like, so sorry, X-Files talk. The last episode of like season 9, it's like the aliens infiltrated the FBI and everyone's on the hunt for Mulder and Scully and they have to flee to Mexico. And then that movie is like, the FBI is having a hard time solving a murder. They want Mulder to come back. I'm like, weren't they infiltrated by super soldier aliens? What happened to that? Shouldn't they be trying to kill him?
I remember like when they announced that movie,
yeah.
And they released like the first posters and trailer. I'm like, this should be treated as iconic. Like, this is Mulder and Scully. They're back. The X-Files is back. And it's just the smallest, like even for an episode of X-Files, you'd be like, why'd they even bother making that episode?
Yeah.
It was just a small nothing story.
It really was really bad.
So
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel
Don't interrupt my brother.
Sorry. I feel like Chris Carter wants to just tell these smaller stories and these morality things and questions of faith. And that's like fine, but it's like, could you just not do it in X-Files? Could you come up with a new thing? Because we were all ready for the alien invasion and your weird fucking body swapping ghost thing didn't cut it for us. Just make a new thing.
I do remember an episode that I really enjoyed as a kid where Mulder switches body with this guy.
Oh yeah.
And when he looks in the mirror and he like starts dancing.
Oh, I remember that.
Dreamland, I think it's called.
I remember that, and I remember when I was real young, the episode that made me refuse to watch that show again is when they had bugs that would get under your skin, like in The Mummy, and you see the bumps like going up your arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't watch that shit. That freaked me
Gil
out.
had a weird thing with bugs.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
When I was go ahead, Adam. It'll sound more credible coming from you.
He would see them in his food. And like our mom didn't believe him, so she'd make him eat it anyway.
Oh no.
And I would be like throwing up like spaghetti on the table and just like trying to force feed myself. And I remember it got to a point where I couldn't eat food if it reminded me of anything. So like spaghetti, obviously worms.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I used to eat Eggo waffles, like frozen waffles for breakfast.
Yeah.
And we went to Stu Leonard's, which is the biggest grocery store in the world. And for Halloween,
it's America's
the world's largest dairy
store.
Dairy store, yeah.
Oh.
They
And
have
for
like animatronics, like robots that sing about vegetables and stuff.
That's right.
It's like Disney World for groceries.
Where is this? Sorry, where is this?
It's in. I think they have one in New Jersey. Actually,
they do. Yeah, they have a couple in New Jersey. There's opening a second one in New Jersey. There's a couple in New York, Connecticut. It's northeast.
Okay, we gotta do a trip.
Let's do Stu Leonard's meetup.
Let's
do
it.
The whole thing.
Stu Leonard's meetup. The one take hack the movies. Unauthorized Stu Leonard.
Yeah, forget this stupid Millennium episode you want to do. This is the one that's got the SEO like.
Well, I did a Kmart meetup in 2019 or no 2020. One guy showed up to it, so that was fun. It was the only Kmart in the Florida Keys. One guy came up, and I bought him a case of Corona because that was in the news at the time. Like, LOL, this is a funny joke. I sure hope nothing bad happens while I'm on my vacation. And then that happened anyway. So you were saying?
Oh yeah, Stu Leonard. So for Halloween, they had like a band of monsters, like a skeleton and just like a generic monster playing just like spooky music. And the monster was just like the color of the monster was the same shade of like brown as the cinnamon toast waffles. And so the waffles reminded me of this creature, and I couldn't eat them anymore. And then I was like, okay, I'll just eat Cheerios from now on. But I was like, if you kind of squint at them right, they kind of look like the same size as flies. So I can't eat Cheerios anymore. And I just started to run out of stuff. I was like, I don't know what to eat anymore.
The only option left was orange juice.
Oh, yeah. I used to drink like a gallon of orange juice every day.
Jesus.
Like that's why I was like overweight as a kid and just had like stomach aches 24/7. And it's because I'm like dumping acid down my...
Why didn't anyone just like stop you?
Well, no one explained it. Like if I could write a note back to my younger self when I was a kid, all it would have to be is like, you burn this many calories a day. Eat this many, you'll lose weight. But they didn't tell us that in health class.
No,
go ahead.
Why didn't anyone just stop you from being a fucking weirdo about the bugs in the food?
Well, my dad tried. They would just
shut up.
They would just smack me and be like, "Stop it." The worst thing that happened is that I was like, I can eat ziti. Like it's big enough. There's no worms as thick as a piece of ziti. And I wasn't freaked out by snakes or anything. But then they were coming out with a new Addams Family movie, and there was like a living ziti that was like crawling across the table. And I remember as a kid being like, now I can't eat that now.
What? Hold on. What the... Where Addams Family? I'm looking this up now. Addams Family ziti?
If I find out I could have been eating ziti this whole time, I'm going to lose it.
I've seen the Addams Family movies. I don't know what you're talking about. Was it in the direct-to-video Tim Curry one?
Maybe it was one of those things where it was only in the trailer. Like in Predator with Adrian Brody, where all the red dots show up and there's only one red dot in the movie.
There is a shot where she's like, play with your food before you eat it, and the food like moves in the plate, but it didn't look like ziti and it didn't crawl across the table. That's what I'm confused about.
Maybe it was a dream I had, but I remember this vividly.
So you just drank orange juice instead?
That was it. Yeah.
Well, and you would fantasize about like if you had an infinite orange juice dispenser in your mouth, so that you can just inject orange juice into yourself during class.
That's 100% true.
Gil,
I
you see these, you hear these like embarrassing stories. This is why you never see my sister on the show.
Well, the good thing is like we don't live stream frequently enough that people like know we do this or like. So there's 18 people in here right now. This is between us.
Secret,
Nobody has to know about this.
You mean my community post didn't boost it at all? What the fuck?
Well, there were only 8 before you came. So.
Oh my god, I feel better now. I feel better now.
I couldn't even eat apples because I used to slice the apples, and if you take 2 slices and kind of hold them, like,
was it like a
they
moth?
kind of look at the wing. Yeah, I was thinking like a cockroach. There's somebody watching right now, and they're like crossing off foods they can no longer eat thanks to me.
Gil, do you
cream cheese, same color as a skeleton. Couldn't eat cream cheese on my bagels anymore.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know.
That makes literally no sense. Gil, do you eat a lot of leafy greens?
Actually, yes.
Okay, I just DM'd you a picture of a moth I found the
No,
other day that
I'm
looks
not
like
looking
a
at
leaf.
it.
I
looked. I didn't realize I had the window open already. Oh,
look at that dude. I was like, what's that leaf on the wall? I'm like, oh, it's a moth.
That is weird.
Yeah, apparently there's a bunch of them right now. I'm not, if I have ever seen one before, I don't remember it. So yeah, got all these flying leaves around. I can't wait till the next time you're having a salad. You're like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I stopped eating Tony every time.
I show up.
It's not the moth. It's the fact that Tony sent it to me.
2 months from now, I'm gonna like tune in and be like, wow, Gil put on a lot of weight. It's like, yeah, he's back on the orange juice.
Yeah,
you ruined his diet, Tony.
It's the only safe food. Nothing bad is orange in color.
Oh, I stopped eating raspberries. It's those ones you'll because
there's actually bugs like all over.
Every raspberry is a container. If you think about the way it's shaped, and I've seen multiple times a little green worm crawling out of raspberries.
That happened to me with corn years ago. In Maryland, my family lived near like a lot of like cornfield and stuff, so we had like fresh corn, and like as we're like peeling it, there's just this big ass worm, and I was like, ah. I still ate the corn because I'm not a psycho. What do I do?
Tony, do you remember the first time in your life that you were disappointed by a movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay.
I'm trying to make him relive his trauma after he dragged all that food stuff out of me.
I remember the big one for me. And I didn't even like hate it or anything. I liked it at the time because I was
the Roadhouse remake.
No. I liked it at the time because I was like a stupid kid. But I remember seeing Batman and Robin in theaters and being like, I'm not liking this as much as the others. It was one of those. I'm like, well, because when you're 5, Batman Forever is like the best movie ever made. I remember being like, this is gonna be great, and I'm like, I don't like this. I'm trying to think the first time I got like mad at a movie. I can't think of any.
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it was like a slow descent. Like the first time I was disappointed, I already talked about it earlier, but like Terminator 2 was my favorite movie as a kid.
Yeah.
And then Terminator 3 finally came out, and it didn't make me mad. It made me more confused, where I was like, I don't know why that wasn't as good. Like, it had cool action, like it was fine, but it just didn't feel the same. And so there was like a lot of disappointments. And so by the time I would be mad at a movie, I think I'd already developed that callus of like, it's just movies just aren't good a lot of the time.
The big one for me was Alien versus Predator. That was like one of the biggest letdowns ever. And that was one of those, like, in the theater, I was trying to trick myself, like, it was fine. It was fine. And then, like, as the days went on, I'm like, no, that sucked. I waited years for that. And that was really bad. And then a few years later was the Halloween remake. That one I was pissed.
Wait, like Halloween?
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one had me fucking fuming.
You know, though, rewatching that for actually, let's do a little shout out.
Oh, okay.
Brian Holder, thank you for the $5. And I know Adam used to tell me you shouldn't say the amounts. Like it's like kind of rude.
No. You gotta say the amounts. You gotta say the amounts.
I'll say I found it like a little tacky, but I'm also not like I'm a guest here. I'm not.
No.
I'm not a professional.
You gotta say the amounts. That way, when someone gives you like 20, you gotta go like $20, and then someone watches is like, I'll get that reaction if I send them more money. You gotta be evil and greedy.
I used to go too far with that though, because I would be like, oh my God, let me tell you something. You're an amazing person. You are an incredible human being. You know, Dr. Manhattan? It's like verbatim.
This is word for word. Like what?
So you know, Dr. Manhattan basically transcended humanity. You've transcended Dr. Manhattan. You're on another level. But then somebody donates like $30. I'm like, where do I go from there? And then when I listen to other YouTubers and they're doing all these shout outs, I'm like, that's the most boring part of the stream.
Yeah.
Well, Brian Holder, you are an amazing person. $5, you're incredible. You know, Dr. Manhattan? The 4-hour Ultimate Halloween Retrospective is one of the greatest videos on YouTube. Thank you, One Take. Thank you, Brian. That is actually that is probably our most disliked video other than our review of Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Holy shit, wait a minute. My Ghostbusters Afterlife review might be the most disliked on my channel.
Wait, that's got to be like corporate like dislike bots that are attacking you guys.
Can you look up your percentage, your like percentage?
On just that video?
Yeah.
Did you not like the movie?
Oh, I hated the movie.
I hated it too. Thank you.
Oh, you know, I'm looking at it now. Actually, the like percentage has gone up like 10%.
Huh. Yeah, mine 52%, 1,500 down votes, 1,800 up votes. I guess it changed over time. A lot of people didn't like
84.6%.
Huh.
It was like 70.
Yeah. I guess
70 is your most disliked.
Well, it used to be. Now it's 84.
Wow.
Is there a way to sort this? I want to see my most disliked.
No, there's
you can't. What I learned early on is that if you review a movie and say anything bad about it, you're going to get dislikes.
Yeah.
Because my theory is that, like, if I watch YouTube, I never comment, I never like, I never dislike, I don't interact with the video, I just watch it. But I think if you get angry because someone said something you don't like that moves you to hit dislike. Like more than somebody will hit like just because they like a video. So the Halloween retrospective, like I watched every Halloween movie. Most of them aren't very good. And actually, as I was editing it, I was like, I'm just listening to myself complain for about 4 hours. And I was like, I don't know if this is a good video. But my theory was, I want to review movies. And if I do a movie review, nobody watches it. I think because it just gets lost in a sea of there's a million movie reviews. Yeah. Any movie you can name. But the early on when I did these like 3-hour recaps, it taught me like that is one way to stand out. If you just have a long timestamp, like, it's a 4-hour video of Halloween, that's the only way I could find to just somehow differentiate myself.
Dude, you're gonna have some competition. When I'm done reviewing all the Halloween movies, I'm stitching all those bad boys together. That's gonna be like a 20-hour video. It's gonna be really long.
They put a limit. You can't go above 12 hours anymore for an uploaded video. Live streams can go longer, but I know.
I'll play it as a live stream.
Because I was thinking about my MCU recap, and I'm like, it's at 6 hours now. And like now they're about to meld the X-Men universe with the MCU. So okay, now 6 hours has to be like 9 hours. Then he had No Way Home, so I got to add the 3 hours of Spider-Man to it. Like, I'm pretty quickly going to hit 12 hours.
Well, there's like no real continuity in the X-Men movies anyway. They kind of pick and choose what's canon. Like
Gil will find it.
I'll find it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then explain to me how Emma Frost is in like her 30s in First Class and a teenager in the 70s.
Why, like, every movie fast forwards 10 years, but nobody ages.
Yeah.
Because they're mutants.
Yes.
Now the human characters don't change because they interacted with Xavier. and he gave them a.
Doesn't make any sense. I liked how Caliban was in Logan and Apocalypse because the productions didn't talk to each other and they didn't know they were using the same mutant. So within like 2 years, there's the same mutant played entirely differently in 2 different decades. It's ridiculous.
You know, one of the whenever I do timeline videos, there's always in the comments requests for certain franchises where people want to see timelines. Mm-hmm. Fast and Furious is always one.
Okay.
Transformers, and then Sonic, which I always find weird. Like, there's been 2 Sonic movies. Like, and now they did the Knuckles show, but this was before that. And I'm like, I just can't imagine me doing that video and like that doing well. But then I got curious the other day. I was like, what about the video games? And recently, Sonic or Sega announced that they hired a team to manage like internal Sonic canon and continuity. And I'm like, in my mind, the Sonic video games, it's the equivalent of like Mario. Like, we don't have a continuity where it's like, okay, this is the 27th time that Princess Peach was captured. And now we have to reconcile like why sometimes he's called Bowser, sometimes he's called King Koopa. But I also thought like the media relations person like tweeted out that they're hiring somebody to like oversee the canon. And I'm like, if I were ever to go back into the corporate world, like that is a job I feel like I could do.
I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about how the events of a hedgehog's life tie together. I'm your man. I'm your man. My only question is, can I work from home? Because whenever I leave the house, I get hit by bicycles or scooters, depending on who you ask.
Hey, Tony, do you have any favorite one take memories over the last 5 years?
Yeah, when you got my channel deleted, you guys. That was my favorite. I cried that day.
You know, Adam, you reminded me earlier when we talked about how you used to like give me a hard time for like naming the amounts that people super chat. Yeah. You have a tendency to try and micromanage during the live streams. I vividly remember we were doing like one of our so Tony, one thing we used to do, I think one of the first times this channel got traction is I would do these
talk
like
about this one. You sure you want to go into this?
I'm gonna go into it.
You already said that he was scared of bug food as a kid. What could be worse than that? Like
so we used to do like watch parties where like if a big finale was coming up, like so the Better Call Saul season finale, like 3 hours before it was going to air, we would just go live and just like talk about theories and just like try and make it like a party, like we're celebrating the final episode. And during one of those, I remember I was talking and I just looked down. I see Adam under the tables going like, tell me like move on to the next topic. Like so threw me off.
I should start. Well, no, my live episodes aren't in person, or else I'd be like,
he knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, you say something like I don't know why we always tried to make them so long. Like we would go live 3 hours before the show started.
We've fetishized the idea of doing like a 24-hour live stream. So I think like we love the idea of some kind of marathon kind of thing.
I know. I love that idea. Like before I even had a YouTube channel, my dream was to one day do a 24-hour live stream. You would ostensibly you'd say it's for charity, but really it's just because you know. But I remember so one thing I wrote down in preparation for this stream, like frantically, like 10 minutes before we decided to do it, was I listed out all the canceled videos, like stuff I've worked on that didn't happen. And we kept trying to come up with what can we do to celebrate the Better Call Saul series finale. And one of the ideas we floated was like, I will go live for 24 hours straight leading up to the finale. And it'll be just me like rewatching the entire series leading up to the finale. And everyone talked me out of it. Like everybody in the comments, like, don't do it. You won't even be able to enjoy the finale. The other idea we floated is that my other younger brother, Daniel, the two of us wanted to see if we could go sign up to take the bar exam. Let's see if we could become lawyers.
Oh man, that actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Both of us like we're so arrogant.
Take the test, right?
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, you could fail.
You could just say, why not? Yeah, you pay
no
them when you can take it.
Yeah.
But part of me still thinks is like, I'm like, I bet I could pass. Or come
feel
close.
Like you could.
I don't know if they ask like specific like case law, I don't know how it works.
Mm.
The first video I ever canceled where I wrote the whole video, it was actually all edited, like it's ready to go. It's a 45-minute video. It was the Goosebumps show good? And I took the first episode of Goosebumps and I basically recapped it and just talked about it and just like analyzed that first episode. But I think it's similar to your Millennium thing where I'm like, I just don't know if there's an audience for that.
Well, they reboot it. Well, they did a few movies recently, and then they rebooted the show like last year. So,
so I guess last year would have been a good time to release that video.
Yeah, I guess you dropped the ball there, Gil. Well, don't worry, they're not going to be rebooting Millennium anytime soon.
That's true.
It streams nowhere. I had to spend like $100-something on the full DVD pack.
Offline later, I'll tell you there's another way you can get movies and stuff.
I know. But I just wanted a physical copy, so I didn't have to,
know. Let me show you something. Adam, keep Tony company until I get
back. So one thing I've been thinking about with like this 5-year retrospective, and I think you can probably say the same, is neither of you has made a YouTube video about how you're too anxious and depressed to really keep up with the channel. Which seems like a rite of passage for most YouTubers.
I know. Last year I did a fake apology video where it looked like I was trying to get out ahead of something. It ended up being like a troll thing. The real thing was someone paid Mint Salad on her spicy site to read a rant that he wrote about how he disagreed with something I said in my Texas Chainsaw episodes. But he made her dress like a schoolgirl. Oh no, school teacher. So she sent me the video. She's like, Tony, a man paid me to do 2 of these videos. Here are the videos. And I'm like, oh. So I did a whole video where I'm like, hey guys, I did something really horrible.
Oh, I do remember this. I don't know what the hell is going on.
I have to admit when I'm wrong. And here's what I did. And it just cuts to her on this like weird unhinged rant.
I was like, our YouTube experiences are very different. I don't think I'll ever get a message like that.
Well, we've gotten some weird messages.
Yeah, like I guess it's been long enough since we've been in touch with her that I don't think she'll be offended if I share this. But we had one fan. So we don't really have a lot of like fans these days. Like when you do a timeline, like people enjoy it. But I think just because I'm not on camera really, they don't know my name, they don't know Adam's name. You don't get the fanaticism of like I hired a school teacher to like admonish you. But in the Saulcast days, when we were talking about Better Call Saul, we had some of them. And I had somebody who was emailing me and telling me that she has like psychic abilities.
Okay.
She can see the future. And I remember when I was talking about Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie, in the comments, she posted this whole thing about how it's based on reality. Like she's seen the files and was explaining all of it. And then about 10 minutes later, she deleted the comment, posted a new one and said, I know the truth about all this. Contact me. We can talk about it offline.
She realized she fucked up.
Yeah, she's like,
I gave it away for free. I gotta bait him a little bit.
She emailed me this right after COVID started. She emailed this long thing explaining how she knows the truth about COVID. She knows where it came from, blah, 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 blah. But then at the way bottom, it was like, I can see the future. Look after your father.
Oh. And then did he die?
No, he's doing great. Never better.
Because you looked out for him.
Despite my best efforts.
She was right.
What I grabbed over there, by the way.
Oh.
You see that? I'm legit. I'm talking about Planet of the Apes.
Shit.
I got the movies right here.
Nice. I gotta rewatch the originals. It's been a very long time. I'm rewatching the modern ones. I'm gonna go see Kingdom tomorrow.
Oh yeah. That's YouTube drama. I had my first YouTube drama last week.
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah. So Adam, Tony invited me to a live stream. This would have been the first time it's just you and me, right?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is like, we're getting closer. I'm waiting for the in-person invite to be in the studio. And I was like, if I can really wow him with this live stream, this is my chance.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about what's the best modern Planet of the Apes movie. And I had to drop out because I haven't talked about this. This is exciting. YouTube is having some kind of a creator collective. I guess like the best creators on YouTube, I don't know. They didn't say that, but I kind of read between the lines.
I didn't get an email. Can you let them know that I didn't get the email?
Yeah, but yeah, it was too awkward.
All right, so you're better than me. Go on.
Yeah, so I'm flying to Utah. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, I figured. So I'm flying to Utah. I'm gonna network. I haven't networked in years. And shake hands, kiss babies. Like, where are the babies? And
like that. Did someone call the FBI? What the fuck?
And if anyone tries to feed me cream cheese, I'm out of here. Looks like a skeleton.
You're gonna go on that trip, and next thing I know, your channel's gonna be gone. I'm like, uh-oh.
I'm going to be joining you on Rumble
kept
soon.
Salivating every time he saw a baby.
You'll go back like, don't worry, I wasn't pantsed. I wore 3 belts just to make sure. Hold on, I need to drink more orange juice.
That's why I had to cancel. Wait, actually, Tony, you can weigh in. So I got 2 dramas in 1 week. I've never had any dramas, except for the person who told me that I had to look out for my, dad because of her psychic abilities. But so I saw the news about the hunt for Golem, right? The new Lord of the Rings movie they're making, and it says from Peter Jackson.
Uh-oh.
Which, like, when you hear that, you think like writing, directing, but they say produced.
We know
by
better.
Peter.
Yeah.
Like,
We know better. Yeah, we saw Quentin Tarantino presents Hero with Jet Li.
Tim Burton's Wednesday, even though he only directed like a few episodes, I think.
Like, he didn't even direct Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a good movie, though.
It was based off his short story, though, so that's how they got
so there's something there. But that's kind of my point. So I saw the tweet that was like, Hunt for Golem, produced by Peter Jackson. And I replied to it, and I said, we need a subcategory for producer, because it can mean anything from we want to mention his name so people think he's involved, to he was actually involved in like picking the writer, picking the director, like giving notes on the screenplay. And like a writer for Variety replied to me, and he goes, we do have subcategories. There's executive producer, there's line producer. And I'm like, you're agreeing with me, because I said producer needs subcategories. You're just saying that producer is one of several subcategories. And then somebody else jumped in and they were like, what are you talking about? We have names for all these things.
Well, I'm going to join in right now. And I'm just going to send them threats.
Gil, what's your password for Twitter? I'm going to do this under your name here.
Leave Gil alone! I get what you mean, though. Like, on the poster, at least. We need to know what they did.
But even not on the poster, like producer can mean a wide variety of things, right?
Yeah, we need to know which producer. What kind of producing did he do?
Yes,
that's what we need to know. I remember they used to do that with Wes Craven Presents Wishmaster. Wes Craven Present. They just put his name on it. He didn't really do much. So what is this? Peter Jackson Presents The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
Why do we care about this? Like, I know he's the most popular in the movies, but
is he though?
Yeah, he was the standout from 2 and 3. Yeah,
he's like the most recognizable thing from the movies.
Yeah,
right. Like, it's not like Sam, The Hunt for Sam. Like,
everyone loves Sam. But, there's also no more story to tell about him.
Didn't stop them from the hunt for Golem.
Yeah. I mean, Golem was around for like hundreds of years, but it's like, who fucking cares? Like, this time a bear chased him, and then he told the ring how much he loved it. Oh, cool. Anything else?
Well, it is from the director of Let There Be Carnage.
Andy Serkis?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, Vandy Serkis is directing, maybe, and he's starring in it.
I think he's starring in it.
Well, I mean, that'd be weird if he wasn't starring as Golem. That'd be really weird.
But you do have to, like, you're in that kind of crouched position the entire time, and I think he is getting older. Like that probably.
I'm looking up how old he is now.
I think
they got enough.
60.
They probably have so much like walk cycles and stuff already pre-recorded. They just need his face at this point.
True.
I just don't see how. It's just going to be The Hobbit all over again.
Yeah. What are you guys' feelings on The Hobbit?
I never even watched them.
Trash.
Really? Okay, I was on board for the first two, but I knew that they were too long and had too much unnecessary bullshit in them. But like when they were good, they were like fun. But that third one, I was like, they didn't have enough material for a third movie, and it's really showing. This looks so bad. It's like not even a movie. It just feels like a extended ending to the previous movie. It's horrible. It's terrible.
So I do have on my like bucket list is to watch. So there's some fan edits of The Hobbit where they condense it into one movie, and they're supposed to be good. There's a few different alternatives. I haven't watched them yet, but
yeah, I wonder how that will flow, because then it's just like that one dwarf that's like hooking up with Kate from Lost. Like once you cut out that whole subplot, you're just gonna forget that character's there and be like, what's his deal? Why does he look sad in this scene?
I've never watched any of those like fan edits. I've heard of them, and at one point I downloaded. Someone took Breaking Bad and tried to condense it into like a 2-hour movie. And it's just there's no possible way that could work.
I'm not the biggest on fan edits unless it's something like David Lynch's Dune, where like the fans had something like a script and they reconstructed it to be how it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But no, stuff like we took Jar Jar out of the movie. Okay.
Like at certain points, like he must convey like information that's like, necessary in the plot.
It's like, well, now you just have a weird movie where there's like a fish man who's just kind of standing around. Also, that movie's already bad, so you're just making a different bad movie. Like it's a nightmare. Did that Last Jedi Less Women cut ever come out? Did that ever come out? That was like a
Tony,
thing.
remember, you're on my live stream, you're on YouTube. This isn't on Rumble right now.
I was gonna say, no wonder he got
no. Okay. This, like, the Fandom Menace, like, that whole thing kind of sparked from, like, this. These fans were like, we're going to do a fan edit that gets rid of all this.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, man.
And I would have no interest in such a thing.
You actually love it, and Kathleen Kennedy has done everything right.
I hated that South Park episode.
Oh man, I gotta find that edit and just see what it's like. Because that's gonna be a very short movie.
Yeah, Gil, if you did like a Marvel timeline recap without the women, nothing would have happened like in the last 8 years.
I did sometimes think I wouldn't do that, but I did sometimes think like for these recaps, like I could just take the story in another direction, you know? Like with recently that came up with the Arkham Batman series recap because everybody hated the Suicide Squad story. So I was like, the only bone I threw them is in the recap itself. I never break character. Like I try to be just the objective narrator of what happened. But at the end of the final Batman game, I said, some people say that's where the story ends. Other people say after that, this happened. So I at least threw a bone of like, you could just ignore the rest of this if you want to.
Okay.
Well, you're no stranger to fan fiction.
That's true. Actually, yeah. So when I was younger, Tony, did you ever, like right now we're like internet friends.
Yes.
Depending on your answer to this question, we could become like IRL friends.
Okay.
In the 90s, did you watch, Tony's like, I hope I get the wrong answer.
I'm like actually nervous for this.
Let's see.
Like I know what Gil's gonna ask. I really want this to be the right answer.
Okay.
In the 90s, did you watch a sci-fi TV show called Sliders?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Not enough. I didn't watch. I didn't watch it religiously. I watched.
The fact that you've even heard of it, I mean, that's enough. You've met the bar.
Because what it was like on UPN first, and then it was on Sci-Fi Channel.
No, it was on Fox.
It was on Fox,
Yeah.
but it went to Sci-Fi Channel.
It did go to Sci-Fi.
It did, yeah.
Because I watch a lot of Mystery Science Theater, and there's like one episode where like Brain Guy is hanging out with friends. Like, yeah, we're watching Sliders later.
That's awesome. That show was so good when it first started. That the idea was that this group of friends would slide from one dimension to another. So like you could go to a universe where Russians control America. Or you go to a universe where you're a superstar and suddenly you're famous. And then he's telling his friend this, and she's like, what, so you can slide to like other planets? I'm like, he didn't say that. And he just like, clarifies. He's like, no, same Earth, different. I just remember as a kid being like, why would you even ask that?
They explained it in the opening credits with all the Earths in a spiral.
That's right. He's like, now we're only. They couldn't get home though. That was the problem.
Yeah, that was the problem. I know John Rhys Davies was in it. Kerry Wurr was in it.
Yeah, later on, that's when the show was going downhill.
When Lord of
Wait,
the
they
Rings,
added Kerry Wurr later on?
Yeah, they replaced Sabrina Lloyd with Kerry Wurr because they wanted more. They wanted to appeal to. Adam, go ahead, take it.
For me,
Kerry Wurr.
The appeal of the Lord of the Rings movie when it was first coming out is that John Rhys Davies was going to be in it.
Yeah.
So I was like, the guy from Professor from Sliders.
Yeah.
He's in a movie.
Not even all the Indiana Jones movies.
No, I didn't even realize the connection at the time.
But it was Twilight Zone-esque at the beginning, where they were dealing with interesting ideas. Like, what if the timeline went this way instead of that way? But then Fox retooled the show in season 3 to just try and capitalize on whatever was coming out at the time. Something you and I would never do.
No,
so
never, ever.
It's like when Jurassic Park was coming out. They were like, let's do an episode with dinosaurs. When Anaconda came out, let's do an episode where they fight a giant snake.
Anaconda with Kerry Wurr?
Oh, wait a minute. So they did it. That's interesting. So they actually mimicked that plot in the show. I don't know if she was on it yet.
Yeah, she's in that movie.
But and then the show got canceled. That was my first, I was devastated as a kid. It was like grieving a friend. And I was so devastated, I started writing fan fiction about the show and uploading it onto a message board. And it got resurrected by Sci-Fi, and it just became awful. And the main character, Jerry O'Connell, left the show.
Well, he went to go do the Kangaroo Jack.
What a great film.
Yeah.
The first script I ever wrote was fan fiction. It was Pumpkinhead 3.
Nice.
Now,
I love that movie.
I don't remember a goddamn thing that happened in my script, but I guarantee it was better than the real Pumpkinhead 3.
So I dabbled in fan fiction again recently. Adam, do you know about this?
Ooh.
Because
I don't know.
I wanted to do an April Fool's video, and I thought, what if I wrote basically a what if there was another season of Better Call Saul where Batman showed up. And I was gonna commission artwork. I was gonna release it as just Better Call Saul season 7 recap. Pretend this is the next season.
You did not tell me about this.
I've written a few pages of it. I was planning to commission artwork so I could have something to show on screen where he's meeting Batman. It was gonna be to hire Saul Goodman to basically poke holes in all the cases that Batman worked on, because he would say a vigilante was involved. You got to let Joker go. You got to let this guy go. And they pass a new act where anytime Batman's involved, you can't do anything. Their hands are tied. And it was going to be Scarecrow was going to give the poison to Jimmy McGill to kind of awaken his Saul Goodman side.
You ever see? I'll send you the video. I did a Daredevil Yellow fan film.
Oh, please send it.
No, but it was basically Daredevil is yellow because the guy who sold him the fabric knew he was blind. He was just fucking with him.
So like, he cut corners and like saved money, but
yeah. So he's like trying to fight crime. The criminals are like, "Why are you yellow?" And he's like, "I'm yellow." And he like goes back to like the store and he's beating up the guy who sold the fabric. He's like, "I just had to leave a crime scene because I was embarrassed." He's like, "Wait, you stopped fighting a crime to beat me up?" He's like, "Oh shit, you're right." He, like, goes back.
You just reminded me of one of the things I wanted to do with this channel is I wanted to incorporate sketches into some of the videos. And I did that with the Halloween video. Like in between each, there was like a storyline where my little brother was showing Michael Myers like tendencies. So I was going to watch all the Halloween movies as kind of like research to figure out how to cure him. And it's like half an hour of that movie is like a storyline. But before one of our live streams, Tony, when I was on your channel, you know, we always have like the green room where we're all hanging out for a bit before it starts.
We all say all the stuff that'll get us canceled.
That's right.
Yours, like, dude, you gotta like.
If anybody leaks what happens before, that's gonna be a good one.
Although the next green room, I gotta be like, hey guys, is anyone on any substances? Can they not be? Because that's been a problem lately.
Yeah, just when you're talking and somebody's just staring wide-eyed into the camera. Let's move on to the next. But in the green room once, I don't remember how it came up, but somebody was saying like, yeah, like sketches and movie reviews are very like the internet is sick of those. People, like, yeah, those are dead. Like if you're still doing those, like, and I was like, yeah, I didn't. It really bummed me out, actually. I walked away after that, and I was like, maybe the ones we did for the Halloween video, like, let's end it there. Like, no more of those.
No.
Screw it. Just do it. Just, you see, people have they have good memories of, like, the 2010 kind of review era. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say who, because he's going to be on my show lately, but, like, people attached to that guy.
He's talking about me.
Yeah. Well, I won't say he was going to be on the show, but he had like a Link Cara who like sometimes would have like 30-minute skit. It felt like 30-minute like skits before the review would start. And a lot of those guys are getting a little out of hand with it. It's like, okay, guys, can we keep the skits a little bit shorter?
I was terrified of that. I didn't want anyone to turn off the video. So mine don't start until like 30 minutes into the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got smart to that too. I'm like, I can throw a skit like somewhere here and there.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you don't do like a dumb gimmick episode like talking animals.
I don't know what is that, Adam?
We gotta cross out one of our items on the to-do list now.
Yeah, that Homeward Bound episode on my channel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you couldn't remember it even happened just shows how bad it did.
I felt bad because you sent me a clip of it and I was like, this is awesome. I'm like, Tony, you're about to go like into the big leagues. You're gonna be in Utah with me in a few weeks.
You were like, Dr. Manhattan, you're way better than it. You know what's funny? I sent it to Cecil from Good Bad Flicks. I'm like, hey, is this like funny? I sent him like the test footage where I had like different audio. He's like, yeah, that'd be funny. And like, not for a full episode. I was like, uh-oh.
I was like shocked when you said it was a full episode. I was like, wow. I didn't think of it as a negative, but I was like, that is commitment. That's awesome.
You know what? I would have loved to have put it out in January, not December, when the ad rates were better. That really hurt me. That was supposed to be Return of the King, but then like my dad got sick and no one wanted to come over because of it. So that was an emergency episode.
That's my Goosebumps review. That's my emergency episode.
I shot that footage in like the summer and I just sat on it. So like, this is stupid. I'll never use this. And then that emergency happened. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm using it.
Yeah, sometimes I told you this before, but sometimes I'm jealous of the fact that you have like a rigorous release schedule. Like I think that's awesome. Yeah. But like one take is it just the types of videos I do. It would be impossible because you're talking like 2 to 4 hour long videos. It's just on an occasional release schedule or whatever.
Keep talking. I want to look at. I want to look at something.
But I was just going to say,
predict how long it'll take to make it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there's got to be some comfort in like, there's a schedule. Like there's a what's the word I'm looking for?
Routine.
A routine. There's a routine to it. Like you've got to get the video done by this point. It's got to come out on this day. And then I think for the fan base, it gets people like excited. Like Monday's Hack the Movies Day.
Yeah.
I've always been like a little bit jealous of that, but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword because now you have to have like emergency episodes. Like if you're gonna miss a day, it's got to be
well, like Gil.
stressful.
Anytime you talk about like, oh, I have this idea for like a weekly thing, I'm always the one who's like, are you sure you want to commit to that?
Well, yeah, I had to be talked about. We talked about it earlier, but when I was trying to do my John Campea daily live stream talking about the movie news, I had to be talked out of like going daily right away. So it was called One Take Daily, but it was only Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's not really daily. Gil, if I lived in a world where I could put out one video 3 weeks ago that got 1.4 million views, I'd fucking stop being weekly in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're like, well, Tony, I'm jealous of you. I'm like, you get way more views and release less videos. What the fuck? I'm jealous of you, you asshole. You're clearly doing way better than me.
That's like a good. I feel like that's a good note to end on. End on a high note.
You doing better than me? Yeah, what a great
note. You tore me down while you pulled all those like pantsing and like food fear, like phobia stories out of me, and then you built me back up.
You digitally pantsed him.
And then you digitally put my pants back on.
I'm sorry that the 5-year anniversary was Tony yelling at Gil.
Tony, just make a timeline.
Maybe I will. I could do it for the Howling. I've done it in an episode, but I could do Howling.
See, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is coming out. So right before that, I come out with a Planet of the Apes timeline. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do a Howling timeline.
Howling has a way better timeline because 4, 5, 6, and 7, or 4, 5, and 6 are not related. But then the guy who did 7 tried to interconnect all of them, and it made no fucking sense. He was the Gil of his day, trying to connect all these movies.
Well, there was a Gil who worked on the Halloween franchise because, like, after seeing Halloween 1 through 5. And when it got ridiculous, and they introduced just a random guy that wears boots that was somehow involved.
Yes, the Man in Black.
The Man in Black.
Shrek did that. It worked pretty well.
That's true. I can't believe that you've had a Puss in Boots 2, but there hasn't been a Shrek in years. Yeah. That's got to be coming back soon.
I forgot apparently it was good, but I just forgot Puss in Boots 2 even existed. I saw the first one. I liked it. I like Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, you'll like the second one. It was solid.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so they introduced like the Man in Black, but nobody had any idea what he was or how he related to the plot. He had like a tattoo, and so they just do random crap in there. But then there was like a super fan who put together a timeline, put together a whole mythology that could connect everything. It would even explain why does he only attack on Halloween and why only some Halloweens. He came up with a whole mythology for it. And I think he came in like and interviewed potentially to work on the 6th movie. And like he left his binder behind. And that became like something the producers actually used as reference. And then I think eventually they did get him involved in Halloween 6. And it was just like Howling 7, where it attempts to connect everything and explain all the mythology.
But then Halloween 6 makes no sense. Either version of that film makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. He kills his family on Halloween. I'm like, he's literally never killed his family on Halloween at that point, other than his one sister.
And then for some reason, if you yell Sam Hain at him, it just stops him in his tracks.
No, you got to put the little rocks around there and do the blood thing.
It's awesome.
Speaking of interconnected, I did that video last year that no one watched where I read the comic that tried to connect Halloween H2O and Halloween 4, 5, and 6.
I didn't know that existed. I want to see
also, it's bizarre how they got the guy who wrote Halloween 6 to like help assist with it. But like it is desperately pulling. Like it's like this doesn't work. This doesn't work at all. It's got a crazy twist ending though.
It starts with so you see there's a multiverse. And
but it is funny because like they weren't consistent, so the years are all over the place. The years keep changing. There's only 3 issues, and they couldn't keep their years consistent. It was driving me nuts.
I had an angry comment the other day on my Planet of the Apes timeline because in the bottom corner of the screen, I show what year it is in the movie continuity. And so Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes takes place in 2008 through like 2016 or something. And someone's like, that movie didn't come out in 2008. And I'm like, he's going to get really confused in about 30 minutes when it says 3978 in the bottom left corner.
Oh, they went that far in the future in the new one. I didn't see.
No. In the original. The original.
Oh, yeah, the original.
Yeah. Maybe they do in the new one too. I don't want to spoil anything.
That's the hard thing with Rise, because like it's a prequel to the original. It's like Charlton Heston said they left in the 70s, so that's kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
You can't really connect it to that original movie. I hope they just remake. I don't know if the new one hints at that, but it'd be fun if they just remake it and like circle back.
I mean, like
to it.
from the beginning, it completely deviates from the original continuity. Like you just said, right, Charlton Heston's character left in 1972, but in the background of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, you see the ship leaves, and that's at least in the 2000s sometimes. Like right there is a contradiction. And then there's between Rise, Dawn, and War, there's no hint at like nuclear war. But in these movies, they say that there's a nuclear war that devastated the planet. They also explain how apes became intelligent in the original continuity. And so like in the new movies, it's a virus that makes apes smart and makes humans dumb. But in the original,
I like that.
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah. In the original, there was a virus that came from space, which killed all the cats and dogs. So humans, they need pets, so they made apes into pets. And then because apes are 20 times smarter than cats and dogs, they started having them do household chores. And like over the next centuries, by doing that, the apes became a little smarter. And then finally, one ape uttered the first word in ape history. Aldo said, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like the new ones, because they're taking everything from the old ones. Because there were good ideas in the old ones, but they're like, let's just make them a little bit better. Let's take all the ideas that worked and make better movies. And I'm like, that actually is a cool way to do it.
That's kind of what I said. I had an intermission in my timeline where I was like, clearly there's contradictions in the continuity. But what they did is they took the original movies and they said, what is a more grounded way to get to that future? So you could still kind of connect them for fun and then just, gloss over some things that don't work.
Time travel exists, so they could all be connected. It could be a multiverse.
Yeah, once you accept you can change the timeline, it's
Tim Burton has time travel in his, so that could also be in continuity. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of people who were like, where's the Tim Burton movie? Yeah. I have a very, I want to, anytime I try to write a movie review, I'm like, this is part of the reason I haven't done that many. Usually it's like, what's blank really about? That kind of thing. But when I'm writing a review, I feel the need to address like every point. Like I want to talk about every individual scene of the movie. Yeah. Which I think works for like a podcast style. And it also works, I guess apparently it also works for like a scripted thing, because people love the like 3 to 5 hour breakdowns of like a single movie. But like when I'm doing the timeline, I'm like, I could just throw in the Tim Burton one for fun. And it's like, if there's a multiverse, you can add it in. And I'm like, that's another like 2 to 3 days of work. And I'm like, is that going to get me more views? Or is it just going to avoid like 7 angry comments? And you get to that.
Right. When you're making video, you're adding content like defensively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there is like a part of it that's like, there's something to indulging in that obsessive attitude. But at the same time, that's coming at the cost of something else. Like the Mad Max timeline maybe wouldn't have released on time if I included the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes. And then there was also the live action TV series, 10 episodes. Oh, yeah. There's the animated TV series. There's tons of comics. So at some point, you gotta draw the line.
The original book?
Yes.
Gil's like, wait, there was a book.
It's called Monkey Planet, yeah.
Monkey Planet. I'm glad they changed the title on that.
Yeah, which that was a mistranslation though. Because like the word for monkey, there's a word in French that kind of encompasses both monkey and ape. And they use that word throughout, and then it gets translated as monkey. No.
That's my contribution.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like one of the skills that like making YouTube videos has really like unlocked for you is this like researching into the absolute depths. Like you're like getting old TV guides on eBay and like finding old interviews that do not exist online.
Yeah, actually, you're making me feel so guilty right now because go ahead, Tony, first.
I was gonna say when we did Freddy versus Jason, I was like reading the old magazine that I have. I try to when I have magazines to like read through what the theories and stuff were.
I always want to do that stuff. I don't know how much of an audience there is for it, but I'm like, I love that like nostalgic, just like recently I found that there's archives of all the old, what do they call them, like the bulletin boards or the like pre-message boards back in like literally the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those.
News groups.
Yeah,
all that stuff is archived. You can see what people thought of like the casting of Michael Keaton on like message boards in the mid 80s. And I'm like, I want to do a video where I just like plumb the depths of like, let's just see what people were saying about this stuff back then.
You know who used to do that? Kumail Nanjiani, when he was funny. He had an X-Files podcast when he was entertaining. And he like found an archive of early chat rooms of people just discussing X-Files episodes like as soon as they aired.
Yeah.
So he was getting like reactions from fans from like the first few seasons. It was actually really interesting. And it made me listen to his podcast, which he then abandoned.
Yeah.
So yeah, people would be interested in that. Like, hey, these are what people were saying at the time. So you should look into
I think you just have to find a way to package it. Like if the video is just, here's what was said in news groups in like the early 80s, like that won't get, you have to find some way to work it into like, I don't know, something.
That's where my 20 hours of working on a thumbnail comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, have you been enjoying YouTube's thumbnail thing now, where you can test?
I don't have that yet. I was so jealous. I
have that.
Yeah, they roll it out like not everyone gets it.
How am I under 100,000 subs and I have that? You're not the only. Like Vito told me the same things. Like, I don't have it. I'm like, how? Yeah. How do you guys not have this?
Yeah, Adam. So they give you the ability now to upload multiple thumbnails, and YouTube will randomly show them to different people, and then pick the one that gets the best click-through rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's not the best, because sometimes it'll be like, this one got like 60% more clicks, but not enough people watch, so the test was inconclusive, and you just gotta like run the test again. But yeah, it's actually been fun, because like there are times where I'm like, I feel like I made a couple good thumbnails, and I don't know which one to pick, and now I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm just gonna make all three of them and put them out there.
All I can think of is that Simpsons episode where they find the skeleton, like the angel, and at the end he's like, to be honest, we never did the test.
All right, Adam, I know you got to get to bed. All right.
Yeah.
And I like, if I want One Take to last another 5 years, I got to get working on my next video.
Yeah.
So.
And everyone watching right now has to go over to my channel, not watch another One Take video. They have to go to watch my channel to watch the new RoboCop episode I did. What is the worst RoboCop movie?
Yes.
And then
someone said Gil should make a timeline for RoboCop, and Gil, don't you fucking dare do that for like another 4 months, please.
I was literally about to say, I'm like, okay, RoboCop timeline coming up.
You have to include the new video game if you're going to do the original continuity.
But before we go, Tony, I was going to ask if you played the game.
I did, and I did. Now I know you don't subscribe, because I actually did a video reviewing the game.
Yeah.
Thanks. It actually didn't get a lot of views, but it's there. So if you want to know what I think, it's there. You can watch it.
You know what? That's going to be my going to bed video tonight.
It's only like 8 minutes. It's short.
You underestimate how quickly I fall asleep.
Hey, you know what? On my second channel, I streamed it a couple times. You can watch those streams.
I'm not joking. I actually will.
All right, well, this was fun.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Tony. Before we go, I just got a shout out. DJ Scandalous, thank you for the $10. Congrats on 5 years. Congrats to you, DJ Scandalous, on 1 million subscribers.
Wow.
And thank you for DJ Scandalous. He found us when we were under 1,000 subs, and he was kind of like a mentor, giving me advice along the way. And
where the hell was this guy?
I know. He's been giving me all this great advice. I haven't passed any of it on to you, Tony. I was like, go ahead, make you should do a video about the RoboCop game. That'll crush it.
No.
DJ Scandalous says so.
DJ Scandalous, what's up? I love your stuff. I definitely know what it is. I watch everything. We should be best friends, please. You said million subs? Be on my show, please.
Tony, stick with him. You'll get there one day.
Wait, can I take a sentimental step back?
Sure.
If a year ago,
hold on, one second.
A year ago, if I were to appear in a dream and tell Gil, one day you'll be internet friends with Tony from Hack the Movies.
Well, a year ago I was internet friends with Tony.
Wait, it's been a year?
Yeah.
Jesus
yeah, I think it
Christ.
started
Little
in
over a year.
April. Yeah.
All right, if I said 2 years ago, your mind would have been blown. You would have been like starstruck.
That first Patreon episode, Tony, where I got to make my like 2-minute appearance to talk about Mario, I was like practicing all day. I'm like, I need to wow him, so he'll like invite me onto the live stream.
Why? You were bigger than me, guy. Can you?
But you can't just. You have to. I needed someone to bring it up like organically. So like again, that guy. Like thank you to that guy who in the comments was like, "One take Gil."
Gil, I tell drunk strangers at my bar that I have a YouTube channel. And all that stuff. He's like, what the fuck, man? Just tell it. No one cares. Just do it.
All right, I got more stuff to say then. So, all right, thank you everybody for joining. This was fun. I would say we'll do more of these, but I've said that many times before, and it doesn't happen. So this might be the last one. But here's to another 5 years. And even if I don't do more live streams here, you can see me often monthly on live streams at Tony's channel, Hack the Movies. Check it out. Check it out right now.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Click.